Welcome everybody finally to a long-awaited another edition of Thursday Throwdown. It's been a couple weeks. We are happy to be back. So it is exciting times. As you can see, a little bit different times as well. But with me again, we're here bringing you the best 239 content that we can. Some of the most in-depth analysis that you're going to get around. As always, I am XD Ally, Daily, Dilly Dally, whatever you want to call me. Part of my voice. With me today, two very, very, very special guests and regulars here on the show now. With me, none other than first-time captain, Pale Poner. Pale, how are we doing today?
What's going on, guys? I'm Pale Poner. I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm excited to get this off and started. We're starting a little bit late here, but that's all right. First time for everything. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to, getting this show on the road. Next up is going to be Agent. It's 007. How you doing, Agent?
Good. How's it going, guys? Definitely excited to do my first, video here, and I think it should be a fun time hanging out with Daly and Pale.
Very cool, very cool. Welcome to the show, guys. Again, super exciting times here. I know it's been a couple weeks. Haven't really done anything. Been getting a lot of things together. Season's kicking off. We've had a lot of reschedules, a lot of things going on. But we're here, and we're going to get it going. Today's show is kind of, midway point. We're actually past the midway point at this point. But we are going to go back, take a look at my draft analysis from the preseason and see how fucking terrible I did, because I'm sure it's not great. I don't, whatever. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through one by one, look at the teams, and then we're all gonna give our opinion, who we think's gonna make it, who we don't think's gonna make it, and we'll go from there. So with that being said, we had a little bit of error on my part trying to set up the show. You can blame me for that. So I'm pulling all my stuff up right now. First thing we'll talk about, though, is Afternoon Delights. Struggling mightily. That's AC's team, respected member in the community, stepped up this season captain, coming off a tough year playing for the Uncle Chubbies the year before. Decides, you know what, I'm going to give her a go this season. Hasn't gone to plan quite as we thought. Before I read what I wrote, what do you guys think about Agent's team? He's made some trades. Chubbs Reborn comes in, playing with Big Head Steve. Do you guys think that this is a team realistically, with how close the league is right now, that's going to make the playoffs? Pale, I'll send it over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, being 100%, I really don't think that they really have a shot to make the playoffs. There's too many teams above them that are too tight in a playoff race right now. We've got, I think, 8 teams with 10 or more wins. AC is sitting at 2 right now. Everybody's just got just about the same amount of games played. They might have the fewest, I think. But it's a lot of work to come up from that spot. I mean, they got 12 losses already. I think if they have any hope of making the playoffs, it's because they go undefeated the rest of the way. They do have the most games left to play. You've got Chubbs and Estradios, so you got a solid offense already. Better than solid. They're probably one of the better offenses in the league when they're both on. But I just played Afternoon Delights earlier this week, and I mean, they got Chubbs Reborn in net. He played net both the games, 2 out of the 3 games, and they put Arborlee in net in one of the other ones. So I don't know exactly, what's going on there. I guess Blue Liner wasn't available. He's probably committed to the MHL stuff. But yeah, I mean, I really don't see how they're making the playoffs from the spot that they're in right now. What do you think, Agent?
I think Daly did a really good job on his prediction. He was really close. I think they just underachieved in a few spots, I guess. I think AC did a really good job getting Steve to his team, but also trading away arguably one of the better or best goalie in the league. And you can see that's definitely helped the ladder of the trade. But, they have an awesome offense, but I think it was a little – he did a lot to try and improve, but he didn't – I think it was too little too late. They're pretty far behind in the point standings to try and get up to that 6th spot. And when you go look at the top 8 teams, I mean, I think there's a disparity of take out 1 and 2. There's a disparity of 6 points. I mean, there's all those guys are gunning for the top 6 spots just to try and make playoffs, and I think they'd have to guarantee win out, and I still don't think they're gonna make it. So.
Yeah, and you guys make great points when it comes to that. Again, you look at it, and second, I mean, Hans shot first, and we'll talk about them a little later. They're really kind of running away with it at this point. But you look at teams 2 through 6, and you're right, all separated by like 6 points, and there's some games in hand there and different things. But again, that it's close, man. It's nice to see this sort of parity in the league. It really is. But as far as afternoon delights, Lemieux, I think in the prediction, what I said is he was probably my top goalie available in the draft, and he wasn't even the first goalie selected. Ends up trading him to Fear the Wolf. We saw him last night or on Monday. Guy was flipping stellar, dude. He was just awesome. So again, shout out to Lemieux. I know that he's kind of bounced around this year after having a lot of stability on that Thundercats team last year, but he's come a long way. He's playing good. So shout out to him. But yeah, it's too little too late in these short seasons. And we talk about it, if you wait too long, even the deadline is too long, in my opinion,
I agree.
It is. And you got to know, 6 games in, what am I doing? Is this going to work? And if it's not, you got to make the move. And unfortunately, I think AC waited a little bit too long. So yeah, I had them. If you look at the prediction, I had them at a 5-6 seed. I didn't see him being last. But yeah, I'm again, all the analysis looks great, but I had the seeding way wrong here.
It's hard to see him be in last place with that goalie that he started out with and that center he started out with. I mean, he had 2 of the top guys at both those positions, and they struggled. They struggled the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, he had 3 goalies drafted. I mean, he drafted Dynasty, I think, before he drafted Lemieux, which is a guy that could play net, obviously, from last season. He had Lemieux, and then he had MC3, Gunny, I think he goes by. He had 3 guys that could play net, and he made a deal with Fear the Wolf, and it looks like if they don't have Blue Liner, they're playing Chubbs in net.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what it comes down to. So again, I just think too little, too late. But again, shout out to AC and the boys. They're grinding, doing their bit. So very cool. We're gonna move on. Blazing Saddles. This team literally has been as up and down as it comes. I know there was a little bit of a dilemma in the series last night with not being able to connect. I'm not going to get into that too much. We'll save that for the Friday Night Elite show. But again, I'm looking at C-Dub and Cody and Burks, and it looks like there should be some offense here, but I don't think the chemistry's there. McGill is playing his off D, and I had a conversation with McGill at the beginning of the season, and I said, listen, anybody, dude, right D, you can consider X Daly to be this. Lefty, you can consider McGill to do that. You switch the sides, and now you're playing your off D. Completely different. It's completely different. McGill is not the same player on the right as he is on the left, and I think that's hurting him. Moose is a great left defenseman, but again, I don't think McGill is as strong on that right side. I know he was trying to move Moose to try and get a right D so he can play the national side, not because Moose has played bad, but because McGill doesn't feel maybe he's contributing like he should. But again, the offense isn't here for me. They're sitting at 23 points, smidge off, but they have 21 games played. So there's games in hand here. I just don't see the offense. It hasn't clicked. I'll pass on to you, Agent. What do you think about Blazing Saddles? They're right on the bubble. Them and Fear the Wolves. They've got games in hand. How do you see this playing out?
They're right there, man. I experienced firsthand last night. We got dumped on by them 2 games. I will say it straightforward. They played really, really well. And we had home team 3 games. They couldn't, for whatever reason, we were having some connection issues and couldn't get an invite sent. So I had home team advantage or connection advantage, and it didn't matter. They played really well defensively. They were super solid and didn't turn the puck over. They had a good goalie in net, and I think they're coming on in the right time, and they just got to win out to put themselves in the right position.
Yeah, Agent, you make a good point with that they're right there. I don't know. It might be another one of those too little, too late things. They are kind of right in the mix still. They're at the 7 seed right now. They got 10 wins, along with the 2 teams right under and above them in the standings. But yeah, I mean, we all expected McGill's team to be a good defensive team. McGill is a defenseman. He's really good. He is playing his offside. You make a good point there, Daly. It does change everything. I mean, it not just offensively, because obviously you don't have the off stick when you're playing a right-handed player on the right side, but even when on your angles coming down defensively, it's a little bit harder to adjust and make sure that you're not as comfortable. But yeah, I mean, last night McGill played Chosen, which I think was the 7th round pick against Agent's team, and he actually put up 10 points in 3 games.
Yeah, he played really, really well, man. And funny thing against that is I debated making a move to try and get him in. I discussed with my team, we just decided against it. And after watching that, it's kind of like, man, I fucked up there, and McGill won out of that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know that McGill even knew what he had there until last night. He obviously didn't. I mean, he didn't play him until this past night. So, maybe that turns their season around. Maybe they can pick up a couple of wins here coming down the stretch and squeak into a playoff spot. But it's going to be tough. I mean, it's funny. We just talked about Afternoon Delights. I didn't mention they play every team from the 6 to 8 seed. They play the Mongotards tonight. They play Saddles next week and Fear the Wolf next week. All these guys have the opportunity to pick up points against them. Afternoon Delights has the opportunity to play spoiler. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. All those teams have 10 wins on the season.
Yeah, then again, it's tough. We play them tonight. I don't know if Blue Liner's going to be there or not, but that changes the lineup a bit. I mean, having Steve and Chubbs up front. I mean, again, it's predicated on the defense getting on the puck. I know I'm going to have my hands full if that's the case. And it's tough. They play that really low cycle game, and they know what they're doing. But again, it is the question of too little, too late on the Delights. But yeah, they can definitely play spoiler as well. Talking about the Saddles too, we had them in a 4 to 6 seed. They're sitting right at 7, not completely far off. But I said, can Cody take the next step? Is Tomahawk and Dub game changers or duds? Neither one of those guys is sticking out at me, and I don't know that Cody's taking the next step, and I think that's why we are where we are. So, those are 2 things, 3 things, I guess, that I really questioned, and it just didn't happen. So that's why they're going to need a little bit of help. But again, it's a big series tonight because the Mongotards play the Delights, and their team sitting right on the bubble. So it'll be interesting to see. But moving on, we got Fear the Wolf. I loved Cameron's team last season, and they had a terrible season. I kind of gave him tough grades this year, and he's kind of proved me wrong. They swept us. They took 6 points from us. The team looked good. They did, and they've come a long way. I think getting Lemieux is the big thing. If you look at my preseason prediction, I questioned Cameron and net. I said, is that going to work? Is Cameron and net going to work? And everyone told me, oh, Cameron's a game changer in net. He's a game changer in net. And I said, okay, well, it didn't work out because the first 6-9 games they struggled. He goes out and gets Lemieux. All of a sudden he starts winning some games. He gets to go back up and play forward. Just from what I saw, again, offensively, these guys got it. I'm going to give a shout-out to Crazy Eddie. He scored some terrible goals in that last game, but he was productive nonetheless. Again, so shout-out to him. He had, a really, really good series. He stood out to me. Cameron himself stood out. And Octizzi, man, shout-out to Octizzi. Playing some center. I thought he'd be playing defense. He's playing forward. Shout-out to him, man. He had a great series as well, especially on the dot. So, again, I'm kind of digging this team right now. I'm digging Fear the Wolf. I'm digging getting Lemieux, and this team's going to go on whether or not Lemieux plays at his best. What do you think, Pale?
Fear the Wolf, I really like their team right now. He made the trade Steve away, and he picked up Lemieux. I'm not sure who else he picked up in that trade. But the big piece, he got Lemieux. Lemieux's helped him in net a ton. He was having issues there. He solidified that position with, again, probably the best goalie in the league. The guy's faced a million shots, and he's still sitting up there with like an 820 save percentage. Coming from somebody that's playing goalie this year, that's pretty ridiculous to give him a quick shout out there. Another guy that I think really stepped up on this team is Yidon No. He's playing defense for him primarily, I think, and he's really been playing really well in that defensive spot. Him and BC Renton are playing well. I think that this team's going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to get in and jump some teams. I think they're going to get up there.
I see Shock in the chat. He said something about superstars. Is that who he picked up in that trade?
Yeah, I think he got Wait, no, Shock? I don't remember playing against Superstar the other night. It was Crazy Eddie. So if that's the case, then maybe he's got both of them. Because I know Yeti's only played 8 games, so maybe Soup's in there. Again, either way, to me, Yeti and Super kind of on that like same tier level as far as wingers. So it's nice to have a little bit of depth there at the position. So if that's the case, like I said, it doesn't hurt him. Definitely having Soup out there helps.
I think Shock did awesome with that trade, moving Steve and coming back with Lemmy on that. I think that was the best thing he could have done. I don't think he's lacking offense as it is, and Shock moving up the board has helped him. It looks like as well. After my series, I had a big controversial LB series. That was entertaining. After that, he made the move, and they've been going hard after that. They've been playing really well. They're on I just see a 4-game win streak, I think. They're gaining points, and they're right on the brink of. They need 3 points to move into playoff positioning. So it's just all the matter of how these last 2-3 series for everybody play out and see how everything ends up.
And we're talking about, and we've touched on it like, other shows that we've done in the past, these short seasons, and it's just like identifying and then making the move, because you don't have, you play a week and a half, that's 9 games, right? You only a week and a half is a third of your season. Like, you don't just have time to sit there and wait. So, like, again, I like what you did, but I almost think it was too little too late. And as crazy as that sounds, he's sitting there, and I'm looking at Fear the Wolf. They got 21 points, but the games in hand, like, that's the thing that's going to be super important. These 4 games, what is it, 1, 2, 3? They're 3 points out of a spot, but Wonder Chosen has 3 games in hand. Again, so it's tough. And Blazing Saddles are the same games ahead of them. I just wonder if it was too little too late. The sweep versus Wonder or versus Mongo Tarts helps. But again, in these short seasons, man, like, you got to be on it, because if you're not, you're done. So, again, shout out to Shock. 3rd-time captain, man. He's great. One of the best captains we got. He comes, he shows up, he does this stuff. Mad shout out to him. He puts together competitive teams seemingly every year. I know last year was a little bit rough, but he's always showing up. He's always playing his guys. So moving on. Oh, we get to do somebody else's team. You want to send it, Mr. Agent's team.
Legion's calling out the below average plug right now. Daily.
Okay. You tell Legion. You tell Legion to just hold his short side. That's all you need to tell Legion right now. If you can do that for me, that'd be great. Anyways, so with that being said, did I just give away his weakness on everybody already knew it? Anyways, sorry, Legion. I love you. Gonna send it. Agent, I gave you semi-rough grades. This is before we knew what we knew. Okay, like when I do these pre-drafts, like, you don't really know. So here's what I did know. I knew McSwagger was going to be gone for the first week. Okay, I knew DJ was going to be gone for the first 2. So that's one thing I did know. Or I'm sorry, that's 2 things I knew. And I didn't know who your goalie was going to be. So I questioned it. Is it going to be Medo Garanda, or what? How do you ever pronounce it? I'm sorry. I probably should. Yeah, that guy. With that being said, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know how it was going to be. But it seems like you guys have really turned the corner. Cosmic Fade, you, yourself, McSwagger, seems to be working out. I know it's super weird to talk about your own team. Trust me, I know it is, unless you're arrogant and cocky and, think you're the best. Anyways, weird.
I wouldn't go that far to say we're the best. If I could redo the draft, I would take into effect those gone dates a little bit more.
It affects
you're right. I think I overlooked them more than, he's gone for 1 week, it's not a big deal. Or DJ, he's gone for 3-4 series, not a big deal, I can make up for it. Well, they're short seasons. You don't have time to make up for any of that. But I think we've done a really good job as of late, especially. I think we can score with anybody. I think we've showed that we can score on anybody. Our forward line is as good as any in the league, but our defensive end is probably struggling. I mean, as a team, we play a struggling defense where I think we get caught up forward a little bit too much. And that kind of reflects upon my goalie as well. I think Wendell Guerin's a better goalie than his stats show, and that's one thing that kind of stinks for him is his goals against average does not look very good, and I don't think that really reflects upon himself. I think it reflects upon a team.
Well, and again, and Pale, I'll let you chime in on this, but I kind of said something in my pre-draft, and it was about the young stud Cosmic Fade. And how was he going to play defense? How was he going to back check? Only because of what I saw in one series on the island. I've only played him once. But what I saw was a lot of cherry picking. And I saw a lot of trying to do it on his own. So I questioned some of those things. Could he play defense? Could he change his game? And Mick Swagger, everybody knows Mick Swagger. He's great goal scorer and all that stuff. But can he play defense? And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the team D is a bit rusty. Pale outside looking in, 24 games in hand. They're sitting at 27 points. There's a couple teams under them, like right under them. Do you think Gonna Send It is going to hold one of the top 6 spots when it's all said and done?
I really don't know, Dale. Fear the Wolf and Blazing Saddles are in the 7 and 8 spot, and they have only 10 wins. Gonna Send It is in the 3rd spot with 13. They've only got 1 overtime loss, so what you see is what you get with their record. They're just above 500, pretty much. I don't know that lead is going to stand up, especially, having the 24 games in hand. You have to sweep this last series, I think, to secure your playoff spot. And even then, I mean, you could see some teams come out and just steal it from you. I mean, Blazing Saddles, if they go 6-0 for the rest of the year and you guys sweep, they're above you in the standings. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure that they're in a secure or good position right now. That being said, I think their offense is legitimate. They do need to shore up some defensive issues. Mida Guerin, he's a buddy of mine. He's a good goalie, and his stats definitely don't show the way that he can play. That I know that he can play. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they hang on and they creep in. Maybe the other teams fall off. Maybe Afternoon Delights plays spoiler really well, and these teams below them can't pick up points. But I think it's going to be a little hairy getting into playoffs there for you, Agent.
The last series we got coming up this week is going to be against the Mongotards, and we're going to sweep them. So.
Oh, you got to come to the island. We got our own problems over there too. So, anyways, but
I know
outside looking in, man, dude, honestly, I think you get in. I do. And here's why. I think it's impressive as fuck that you guys have a -14 in your goal differential, and you are currently sitting at 3rd. There's a lot of these teams looking at the schedule, the 4 seed, the 5 seed, the 6 seed. All these teams are playing each other. So that helps. That helps Gonna Send It, because unless you're getting like a pending sweep in there, I think a lot of these teams, because of parity, match up really nicely. I don't see a lot of sweeps. So I see you guys holding on in the end. Wonder Shows and really controls their own fate. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Unfortunately, Gonna Send It does need some help. I still think you guys get in. I got Saddles missing. But I think you guys do get in. But with that being said, and this is a shout to your team, like the team defense has to be better. And I've said this before, there's very few goalies that I've ever played with that really can just steal games. And, I know Midow's good, but he's got to have help. And that means limiting the breakaways, limiting the cross creases, basic stuff. If the defense plays dude, you guys score enough frigging goals. Like, you just got to play a little bit better defensively. And now you're talking about some of those losses are wins. if I were to go and look at how many 1-2 goal loss games you have that are probably in the 6-4, 6-5 range, I'm sure I'd be shocked to see how many there actually are.
You'd be fucking disgusted.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, man, like, let's make the adjustments. You get your goals, and then I'm not saying let off, but, have a little bit more prowess in the defense. I think you guys make it in. So how about that? Old dad thinks you make it in. Get on in. All right, moving on. Here's another fucking thing I want to talk about, by the way, because this is just the Fear of the Wolf 26, Halifax Harpoon 34. Can we get some new fucking names, please? Please, Daniel Martin and Fish Stick Boy. Can we get some new names over here, please? That's all I'm going to ask for. All right, I'm all about the dynasty. Can't we have like a break off of Fear the Wolf, like Cry the Wolf or Tears of the Wolf? Like, I get it, but like, or Fear the Wolf 15? Like, come on, man. I need a little bit more. So Halifax Harpoons version 3 or whatever this is. I was a bit rough on the back end, meaning at the Pimp, Johnny Blaze. I like both of them where they were drafted. I gave the poor defensive, not poor, C+, not poor defensive grade. I didn't know what ability was. I actually played with the guy the other day. He's phenomenal in net, by the way. That ability. He's great in net. So, that's a big thing. And then that forward line, you got Dank, McFly, and Daniel Martin. Danny I've played with the guy literally forever. He's probably the best forward I've ever played with, have the most chemistry with. It's disgusting. He's so easy to play with. Marty McFly, who I continually say is a better D-man than a center, but he's proving me wrong by having a phenomenal year up front. And then you got Dank, who's really filling in nicely. From what I've seen in the game footage, I think sometimes Dank isn't quite on. I don't want to sound like a dick, but this makes sense. I think Marty and D-Mart play kind of like at a level like this, and then Dank's like just kind of like a step behind, if that makes sense. Like, like Danny and Marty are, brothers, obviously, but making that quick pass, starting that cycle, and I think Dank kind of misses out on it sometimes, but he has enough individual skill set that it makes up for it. Does that make sense? Or I didn't come out as like a huge.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay. So again, I love this team. I loved them in the beginning. They had a rough patch. Han's team, aka Pale's team, came out, man. They swept those guys, swept the Mongo Tars. They're doing their bit. They've got 3 fucking losses all year. That was the only real blemish in the Harpoon season. This is an easy in team for me. They're in without a doubt. They're probably in right now with 30 points. I think it's safe to say. What do you think, Agent? Do you think that Halifax has anything to worry about with, one series left? Or are they in?
No, I think they're in. I think they're a lock. I think they can win one game, and I still think they're a lock coming in this last series. I thought their offense would actually be a little bit better with the two brothers playing together up front. They're playing together. Playing with them, they make honestly scoring pretty fucking easy. I'm surprised that their offense hasn't been better, but their defense has been very well, very, very good, I should say. And it shows. They're down there at the bottom of the league with goals allowed and ability. He's a great goalie. He's one of the 2 goalies I was going to gun for. Him and Middlegaren were the 2 that I was going after late rounds, and D-Mar picked him up, so I got the other one I left out there getting him. And I think they're locked. There's no issue there with them making it in. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think that they are pretty much a lock. I think they're probably going to be the number 2 seed. I think they are probably going to have a bye as well. Maybe they drop out at number 3. I think Wonder Chosen probably has a chance to do that if they, close out these last couple of games. But I think Halifax is probably gonna be the number 2 seed for the year, get that bye. I agree with pretty much what Agent said. Yeah, for sure it is.
Talk about that because you bring up the point, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's such a good point. And I can tell you firsthand, with how close everything is, having that first round bye is huge. Absolutely huge. I don't want to write it off just yet because there is a lot of games. Han shot first is, if you guys suck for the next 9 fucking games, then you deserve to not have a bye. So I'm just going to say this. Han's going to have a bye, and that's huge because, like I said, it's not like real hockey. All right, like I get it. We're not like fucking out there like skating shit. It's not like we're getting rest. Okay, I get it. Rest the thumbs or whatever. But it is big, man, because it's just one less round you got to play. And with how close everything is, I think that's a great point. And I'm with you, though. I think the Harpoons get that one. The only other team I could see getting it, man, and we'll talk about them in a bit, is – this hurts me to say this, but it's Sobert's fucking team. But we'll get to them in a minute, even with whatever. I think it's them. But so we all agree, man, Harpoons in and potentially just the number 2 seed at this point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. All right, well, we're going to go to the next team, which is our other captain on the list here, Pale Poner. And I'm probably going to get kicked in the dick for this one because this was fucking terrible. Now, I will say this. Okay. This is the one thing I'll say. I had them predicted 7-10, which means I obviously thought they were going to be fucking shit. With that being said, a lot of it was and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I made mention you had a lot of part-time MHL or other league guys that I worried about.
Yep.
Now, in my defense, you corrected that right away. Not week 3, right away. And I think you were better off for it. And I think that's also a big reason as to why you are having a lot of success. Derek is a great player, but doing what you did, I think that you really won the trades. Joey Stopa, he's really turned the corner. He played really well in our series. Again, that's what I can talk on. I love Beasley Jesus. Honestly, though, Legion stayed away from him in the draft because of the MHL thing. But again, man, it is, and you had a lot of part-time guys. So I'll go to Agent first, and because it's always weird to talk about your team. But Agent, what do you think about this Hanshot first team? Have you played them? I think you guys have.
Yeah. We had 2 really, really close games and one game that they just shit stomped us. I mean, Stoey is a guy that I really, really wanted to have on my team. He was the guy that was on my board, first at his position and second at his secondary. And he went right before I was able to pick him. But props to Middle. He's played with him. I've played with him. And no, he's a good guy. And you said he took the step, but I don't think he took a step. I think it was just getting the right people around him. He's a really good winger as it is. And it's also part of Pale getting some of his own boys in this league. Brick City has been huge for that team. Has played awesome. And obviously, I think the biggest surprise of all is probably Pale himself playing in net.
Yeah, I really liked my draft. I got, like I said on draft night, I got everybody where I really wanted to get them in my draft. Aside from maybe my first pick, I took Derek GNR. I knew that he was a good player. I was willing to take a shot on him. I wasn't really sure what I would get out of him because I had never really played with him before. But, he's a great D-man. I put him on the right D for my first 6 games, and I think we went 5-1, something like that. We did really well. But end of the day, I had to make a choice whether I wanted Beasley Jesus on my team or I wanted Derek on my team because I couldn't deal with the 2 MHL guys. It just didn't work schedule-wise, and I couldn't make it happen. I took Stoey Jopa in the 4th round. I thought that he should have gone way higher than that. But, I thought that there was a chance that he might be there, and he was. I think he's a really good complementary player. I think he can play with pretty much anybody. Like you said, Asian, I did get a couple of my boys in here. I mean, look, I had like 6 or 7 guys sign up for the league in the offseason, and, there was no chance that I was getting them all and stuff like that. But I got the guys that I wanted, and yeah, we're having a good season. These are guys that I've played with for a long time, and yeah, I'm just having fun. I've never played net before, as I've said a couple of times probably, but the guys in front of me make it easy. Beasley Jesus, he's a guy that Stoey Jopa recommended. He was in the MHL with him. This guy is phenomenal. He can play any position: center, left wing, right wing, lefty, righty, goalie. He can play it all. But the guy plays everything excellently. Like, there's no flaws to this game. I don't get it because I can't do that. He could play left stick, right stick. It doesn't matter. He's awesome. I had some questions going into the season this year. with Rico and Fat Lard at goalie, because I honestly just picked them up at the end of my draft to see if either one of them could play. And, not that I determined that they couldn't, but I felt like I could be more of a difference maker in net. And, I made my moves around that, and I think we've had the best season that we could have so far.
You mentioned yourself having some questions going into the season, and I don't think you're the only one. Obviously, you saw it with Daly's right up there, but I mean, dude, I thought the same thing. I thought you were going to be a bubble playoff team with that lineup, but that's because nobody in the league knew Brick. I don't think he played did he play a scouting game, or did you just hide him in the corner back there so you could draft him?
You played with them. You played with them. Villa played with them. Regent played with them. Let's not.
I gotta have excuses.
Okay.
They didn't draft him, man. He's playing awesome.
You guys all played with him. I swear.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, man, is like when that's the beautiful thing about this league. I'm sitting there and, you learn a little something every single year. You look at that, that team, and there's a lot of unknown names, and there's a lot of part-time names, and, but you had a hell of a draft. It's working for never playing goalie. I know our series was a bit wonky. We had Donnie Wood lag out. That kind of sucked. But other than that, you impressed the hell. That first game was a shootout, but you guys really settled in after that, so I was impressed, from never being, a goalie, especially in a league setting. It's tough. So but that's the beauty of being a captain, man. Like, you know what? If shit's not working or that's not going to be a thing, because I remember you're like, oh, I don't know if Rico can play goalie or whatever. Like, dude, you know what? Guess what, man? You just switch the shit up. Switch it up. You can do whatever you want as a fucking captain. You don't have any sort of restrictions on position or anything. So to me, it is good for captains to be able to play multiple positions. If I got a guy whose best position is right D, hell, I'll have to move up and play forward. I'll have to move over and play left D. Like, you just got to figure it out. So shout out to you, man. You guys are having a great season. If you're not the 1 seed, then you fucked up on your own, and I don't feel bad for you. But yeah, it's no doubt in my mind. You guys are
both you really quick. I got a retarded technical difficulty. I got to restart my computer.
Okay, so Agent's going to restart. While he's doing that, we're going to jump onto our next team. That's the Justice League. And, dude, I fucked up like twice. So I said that the worst team was going to be Pale's team, who is the best team. And I said that Drift's team was going to be the best team, and they're the second worst fucking team. This is a simple case. And here's the thing. What I said was going to be the problem was the problem. You had Superstar and Drift, and they both want the puck all the time, and there's only one fucking puck. Sorry, excuse my language. But there's only one. And that becomes problematic. And this is, listen, I know that Superstar somewhere, because he has not talked to me in months, thinks that I'm shitting on him, but I'm not. He's better with the puck without it. Drift is also better with the puck than without it. I thought Esso was going to be a nice mix of the two. And then he moved Esso. He got Luca and Drift kind of play that more like fluid, like kind of whatever, style. There's no real like structure. Esso's more suited for that kind of structure where you're cycling, working low boards. I think that move to MOTU is going to benefit him and that team a lot more, playing with Hugh Laurie, playing with sober enough guys who like to play that style. I think Drift got better with the trade with Luca, but I think it was too late. And again, that's just another thing. 5 wins in 20 games. I don't know what the hell's going on with the 20 games. But the 5 wins isn't going to cut it. Even if you win out, you're looking at, 11? I don't even think that gets you in the playoffs right now. Wonder Chosen's at 11, So I think they're out. I think it's a pretty even out, but hopefully these guys play hard and try and play spoiler. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Too little, too late. They didn't make the moves when they needed to make the moves. We haven't played these guys yet, so I haven't seen them play yet. Obviously, their team's completely different from when you did the draft analysis. I mean, Esso, Superstar, BC Renton, all these guys were in the starting lineup on the sheet, and they're not even on the team anymore. So who knows what happened with this team so far? I mean, you said Superstar and Drift to always need the puck. I haven't really played with Drift all that much at forward or anything like that. So last season I saw him play goalie. So I don't really have too much to go off of that. I did make a trade with him, obviously. I picked up D Stokes off his team. I'm enjoying having him in my lineup when he's there. He's doing well. Him and Joe Stowe obviously have chemistry, but I mean, yeah, I don't know what happened with this team between when you made the prediction versus what we're looking at right now. But at this point, I don't see them having a possible way to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's tough, and again, it's just funny how this thing works, man. And I know last year shit on the Thundercats for saying this, but I guess chemistry does play a role. I mean, if you have good players, you're generally gonna find ways to win games. And you looked at those players, and there was a lot of good ones, but it didn't work out, And shout out to Drift. He's still got that team running. He's still active in the captain's thread. He's still, getting his waivers, doing his thing, still getting the guys out there. So shout out to Drift, shout out to that team. But yeah, moving on, we got the mighty Mongo Tards, which is my team, aka Legion's team, who happens to just chirp me all the time, so that's fun. No moves made. This team has been kept from start to finish. Interesting season, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Win 6, lose 5. Win 3, lose 3. It's tough to talk on your own team. We control our own fate. We got to be better. People showing up has been an issue. I know I missed this series because of an unfortunate work scenario. Thamps has missed, Sabby's missed one. So, it's getting that lineup. When that full lineup's there, it's a different team. I'll just let you go. You've played us, so what do you think? In or out, and what do you think?
I think you guys are in. I don't see you guys falling out of where you're at right now. Whether you're up at number 3 or down at number 6, I'm not really sure, but I think you guys are in. You got 10 wins, 5 overtime losses. That's tough that you couldn't come out with a couple more of those wins there, in those overtime games. But, that's just the way it goes sometimes. I don't know. Your team's obviously good defensively. You got you and Donnie Wood on D. Both of you guys are really, really good defensemen. Thamp, Sabby, and who's your center?
DC.
Desire Customs, yeah. I think you guys have a really solid team. Can Legion keep up what he's doing? Defensively, if you play in front of him, he's going to look good. I think you're in the playoffs. I don't think being 100%. I don't know how far you go in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, the biggest thing is just, you kind of touched on it. It's like finishing these games. 5 overtime losses, man. I mean, you're leaving points. I mean, you get 5 wins, instead of those overtime losses, or even 3 or 4 of those, now you're sitting at 29 points. Now you're talking about the 2 seed. This is a completely different thing. It's just so important to finish those games. So I'm with you, man. I think that's the biggest thing for this team. This is my team is, really making sure that we finish out these games because it's just so important to close out. I remember our series, man. We were winning by 3 goals with less than 10 minutes left in game 1, and you guys came back and beat us. That can't happen. We left points there, and that's tough. And that kind of set the tone for the whole series, and it was a shootout game, whatever. But that's my biggest thing with our team is just consistency and having fun, man. We've been playing tense. We gotta loosen up a little bit, have a little bit of fun. So with that being said, I'm with you, man. I think we get in. I'm not worried about it. I think we get in. I like what we got, and we'll leave it at that.
Let's do it.
All right, moving on. I don't even know what the name of this fucking team is. MOTU. The other day I messaged over. I'm like, what's the name of your team? He's like, do you not get it? I'm like, I don't fucking know what it is, man. That's why I asked you. What's MOTU, you dick? Anyways, and it's not like it's spelled out on the site. It's just MOTU.
Yeah.
So these guys got my boy Esoteric repping the Boston ad for my buddy there. Shout out to him. He's a fantasy baseball fucking lug. He knows nothing, and he loves Billy Hamilton's dick. So therefore, he's a big fag. Anyways, leave it at that. Moving on. That trade completely benefited MOTU. Playing with you, Lori. Playing with Sober. Esoteric. People don't know this about him. He's a great centerman, man. He plays some really good 2-way. And this is the hardest blow J I'm ever going to give you, dude. So, enjoy this while you have it. He's a perfect fit for that team. He kind of is playing that Chew therapy role, like for Jello time last year, where Chew, maybe wasn't getting all the points, but he was like really, really like playing that defensive and starting plays for us. So MOTU, in my opinion, has the only other chance of getting the 2 seed, just because I think they're 7-1-1 since getting Esoteric, which is a huge stat. I could realistically see them winning 6 games in a row with how they've been playing. Hugh at part-time, I'd like to see Hugh full-time, but Hugh at part-time kind of, changes the game, and then I think they have like Zlo. With that being said, Thug's playing better. Roos on D makes sense. He played right wing in our series. I didn't understand it. I don't think he's a game changer at right wing. I think he's much more of a game changer at right D. So with that being said, I like that they made that move, and then Sniper has been quietly having a really good season, coming out of net, playing a season on defense. The team is constructed really well. What do you think? Is this a team? I think they're in, but do you think this is a team that realistically could be a 2 seed?
I think they're in too, and I do think that they have a shot at the 2 seed. Not sure. I think there's another team that I think could also have a shot at the 2 seed aside from Halifax and MOTU. These guys, they have a really good team. Esoteric is a guy that I was really wanting to get in the draft. I actually tried to move up a couple of times to see whether I could, move up from where I was. I was at number 10. I wanted to move up and see whether I could get him or not, and it just couldn't happen. I ended up moving back instead because I figured he wouldn't be there. I like him as a center. I think he's one of the best centers in the league. Hugh Laurie is obviously really great too. You got him part-time. Sniper 0270 is having a great year at D. He's playing some really solid D. I was watching Thug CTC's stream the other night. They played really well. And obviously you have Sober Enough as well. Lead leader in points and hits and everything, every other stat last season. I don't know if it's going to happen this season, but I think that they're solidly locked into a playoff spot. I think they have a chance to be number 2. I think they ultimately wind up at number 3 or 4.
Yeah, and again, for me, I'm in that same realm. We talked about it. I think they're in for so many reasons. The team just got a lot better. I love Esoteric on that team. I said earlier, he really is more of a system guy. So it really, really makes sense to me for him to be there. Moving on. I'm sorry. I said they're in. I know I said that, but 100% they're in. And I realistically think that they will end up being the 2 seed here. Hey, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. I'm gonna get Agent back in here. The next team is Wundershausen. I'm gonna let you lead. I'm gonna get Agent in here real quick. So what do you think about Wundershausen? You got BCO, Edge, John Monkey, Dominator Silva's part-time in another league, Valcor, Ballbag himself, and Mr. Jim Flanagan in that. What do you think about Wundershausen?
I think Wundershausen, this is my team that I think could sneak into the top 2 seed. I think that they could end up getting into a bye. They have a couple games in hand compared to a couple other teams. VCO has taken a giant leap forward from last season. I played with him in a bunch of scouting games. He was one of the guys that I had in a bunch of games. Another guy that I had really high on my draft list that I was hoping would possibly fall to me. He's been playing phenomenal this year. Edge, John Monkey. Edge has probably exceeded my expectations coming from what I know from last season to this one. But, that's a credit to him. He stepped up. Dominator Silva is obviously a good offensive catalyst. He can create plays on his own, and he's a good player in his own right. Valcor has played really, really well on lefty. He's got a ton of points for defense. I think he deserves a lot more credit than he's gotten so far. I think he's a little bit underrated. He probably likes it that way, but I think Valcor is a pretty good defenseman, and he's probably going to go a little bit higher than he did this season. Obviously, you have Holly in net, who's one of the better goalies in the league, and Yambag on D, which I think suits him. I think he's a pretty good defenseman, as much as he would probably rather play forward. I think that this team has the ability to be a top 2 seed in this league. Maybe they go to number 3, maybe they go to number 4. I think they have too many games left to end up being a number 4, 5, or 6 seed. What do you think?
I'll jump in just because I know you're talking
Yeah.
about fucking Yambagger. He's got a tough series coming up against Fear the Wolf, man. They are coming on really, really strong, and I think they're gonna see that they got more in hand than what they really think. They started off super, super slow, and I think they're coming on really strong where they're gonna give anybody that plays them a real struggle. And I think Fear the Wolf is gonna sneak in at the 6th spot on the playoff, in the playoff teams, and anybody that plays is gonna be tough. So Yambag playing them better be watching out to going against that series right there. Don't take it lightly.
All right, here's the thing. Sorry, I had to fix my paint.
You're trying to flex for everybody. It's fucking weird, dude.
No, I had to tuck my shirt in, man. I hate when that shit comes undone. Don't even do that. Anyways, what I'm gonna say is this, and this literally kills me. God damn it. Only because he fucking pissed me off, and I'm trying to get this fucking chat going, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, fuck you, Yam. Anyways, man, I really like this team. I don't see any hole at all. Okay? You got BCO, who's great two-way centerman. You got John Monkey, who to me could end up being the best 6-man in the league right now. Yan doesn't use him enough, but that's fine. He hasn't had to. Edge is a natural left winger. We know him as a lefty and goalie because he's a great guy and he will play whatever the fuck his team needs. But he is a left winger, right winger by trade. Now he's playing his natural position. I'm not surprised at all. He's good at the other positions, but he's being great at this one. Okay, he only had 4 points on the island, but that's what most people do. But other than that, he's having a great year. Now, Dom Silva, to me, could very well be a top 3 right winger. If I were to rate right now, he's right behind Danny DeMart. And I think that I got to throw Brick City in there just because of what he's done and his ability to change the game. I noticed that. Okay, I stand corrected. Valcor is a vastly underrated lefty. I had him last year as a 60 as a part-timer. Vastly underrated. He's phenomenal. He takes the body. He's great positionally. There's no emo. And that's another thing. Dude, great people in parties. You're a great player, great. But then you're an awesome dude to have in a party. Awesome. He plays fucking Farmville or Farmer Simulator. Enough said, right? Okay, great. And then you got Holly and Net, and Jim Flanagan is a solid stand-up goalie, man. He really, really is. You don't get him moving too much. He's solid, man. Yambag is probably playing some of the best hockey that he's ever played. The biggest thing with Yambag is always trying to make that crazy play, that he doesn't need to make. But I really think he's toned that down this year. So I think that this is a big reason that this team has been so successful, and I think this is a big reason this team is going to continue to be successful. I don't see any glaring holes. So I think we're all in agreement Wonder Chosen makes it. I will not disagree with you, Pale. They are also a team I think could grab the 2 seed, especially with the games in hand. It's nice to control your own fate, and it's nice to not have to worry about another guy, another team. You just kind of do your own thing. You go out there, play. That's it. So, yeah, that's pretty much the teams, man. My analysis kind of fucking sucked.
It was 50-50. I'll give you that.
I mean, last year was a lot better. But last year there was not as much parity as there was this year. So I think that was a big reflection of that. I think last year, the top teams were going to be the top teams. This year, I think there was just a lot more parity. So with that being said, I guess we already said that. I want to do one more thing because I know we're on time here. We got 10 minutes. I got a series tonight. I don't know if you guys do, but we're 10 minutes before games. Who has been your MVP of this season and why?
One funny thing I think Daly posted in his own forum after Pale prediction on two stats. Pale nailed to a T right now. 100% Hotshot first gets a bye, and Brick City's top 3 in scoring, and he's 2 for 2 on that. I mean, Brick City's come on super strong for him, and Hotshot first.
He did.
I honestly think Hotshot First has outperformed in comparison to what anybody thought. And props to them, man. Props to you, Pale, for the draft and playing really well in that.
And you know what, man? I made I think I have the screenshot on my phone.
It's screenshotted and noted.
But here's the thing. And that's not to be arrogant and it's not to be a dick.
No,
it's
for sure.
It happens so much in these leagues. I love it. Last year, I don't know if you guys remember, like last year's just prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, prove me wrong. That's what I said all last year. I said Jello Time was the team to beat. Prove me wrong. And we kept winning, and finally we didn't win because Flanny made me use Kristaps in the playoffs. But that's a whole other story. But with all that being said, prove me wrong. And you know what? That was just another testament of it. Listen, I have no problem eating my fucking words, despite what anybody thinks. I was wrong about not just Brick City, but Pale's whole fucking team. I said they were going to finish last, and they're in first fucking place by like 6 points. So I'm wrong.
Look how many games played they show compared to Halifax and even myself going to send it, and they're still in the lead. I mean, that's testament, dude.
I probably should be fired.
I agree.
Realistically, right? Like fired from media because it was fucking awful. But again, you know, I think the draft analysis is great. It's a great piece of literature, mainly because I write it. No, but it gives everybody a little bit of exposure. It gives you a little bit of insight into the teams. And it gives us something to reference. You know, with the short seasons, you know, after a week and a half, 2 weeks, we can go back and look at it. How did we do? What happened? What's changed? Did they do this? Did they take your advice? Did they not? Were they cool? Whatever. So it's kind of a cool reference point. But again, so you're set MVP right now. No questions asked.
Neil, who do you pick? I'd say it's between two players on your team. Who's outperforming the other? Dope or Brick?
I mean, Brick City realistically be MVP and Rookie of the Year. I mean, I think that's what we're talking about right now, right? And I can't recall a time that's happened. Not here in 239. I mean, you know, this is the first year we're going to really do the awards. But again, you know, last year, you know, we had, you know, somewhat awards, whatever. But I think it's an impressive feat. I think he's the front runner as far as MVP. I mean, Rookie of the Year, no one's really close other than, again.
I think ability's got a shot too. I think he's played really well for his
and that's a good point. This position, playing the harder position, does that come into play?
I would say goalie is by far a harder position than center, and I played center.
So does that come into play? You know, whatever the case may be. But I think both guys are having great years. It's been so fun to see it, man. Dude, I love the fucking parity. I love how close everything is. I love that right now, pretty much every game is meaningful. Every game being played tonight, although not important, like say for like the afternoon delights, but for the Mongol, every single one of these games is important. Every single one of the games for, you know, maybe not Han Shot solo because they got 9,000 points, but, you know, Gonna Send It, MOTU, Wonder Shows, and Blazing Saddles, Fear the Wolf, Mongol Charge. Every single one of these games for the next week are super important. And I love that we're in the last week, coming up in the last week of the season, and everything is everything's game, man. Everything's a go. It has to be this way, and I love it. I love it. It just makes for competitive league play, and I love it. So
for sure, seeds 5 to 8. You know, we got 10 wins, 11 wins, 10 wins, 10 wins. I mean, all these guys are right there, and then right above them is MOTU and Gonna Send It, who are definitely reachable. Yeah, I mean, league parity is awesome. Obviously, you know, Han Shot first. Yeah, we got 15 wins and 2 losses, but you know, the league parity as a whole is really pretty awesome. And I mean, even the other 2 teams, Justice League and Afternoon Delights, they improved their teams with those trades. I don't think that they, you know, got worse from those trades. So yeah, maybe if they made them earlier, they would be more in the running here. But yeah, I think league parity is pretty awesome this season. I think it's pretty cool, especially compared to the last season, which obviously was my first season in the league.
Which I think last season you had 2 teams that kind of ran away with it. With you guys can inform me on the other Yellow Time, and who was the other team that was leading the league?
Thundercats.
Exactly. Yeah, the 2 of them, I mean, they were above and beyond everybody, and that was pretty obvious the whole way through. and things got mixed up in the playoffs, and I think it's going to be the same thing when you look at this. It's going to be kind of a shot in the dark. I mean, Hahn shot first, you're out front, but I don't think you're that much a step above everybody else in the league.
No.
You know,
we're not untouchable, and we're not
exactly.
going to take
And that's the thing
lightly.
that's awesome is everybody is super, super good, super strong in different points of the game. I think it's going to be a really fun playoffs to see who does actually make it. I'd say the only two for a lock in playoffs are going to be Harpoons and Hahn shot first. Wonder Children kind of sets their own destiny. I think they're probably going to be in. It'd be pretty hard to say they're not. And after that, it's up in the air. Anybody can lose it or win it themselves, and that's what it's going to really come down to. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with MXCU, Mongo Tards, Blazing Saddles, and Fear the Wolf. I think there can be a lot of movement there.
Yeah, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about this league. It's all going to come down in the next week. So with that being said, we are going to wrap up. Again, guys, this is going to be regular. This is going to be every Thursday. The Throwdown is back. 8:45 Eastern. Again, I like the extra 15 minutes because we always seem to use it. Today we used it for technical difficulty, but we always seem to use that time. So I'd like to start it, and if we drop a little bit early, then so be it. But again, 8:45 Eastern is the plan. And again, Pale, Agent, it's been a pleasure. Love doing the show. Thank you guys for coming on, and I look forward to the next one. So, family, we out.
Peace out.
Peace, boys.